in some ways, things have not changed. I think the essential challenges that small businesses have of getting customers and getting paid and getting good people and, basically just operating the business, a lot of those challenges are still there. But I think what has really changed is the whole marketing landscape has just totally changed. But at the same time, in order to take advantage of that, I think small business people are challenged to learn more. You have to become better at using technology.
The following is brought to you by Thryv, the end-to-end client experience platform that helps you get the job, manage the job, and get credit.
Hey, this is Gordon Henry at Winning on Main Street, and this week you get to meet Anita Campbell. Anita is founder, CEO, and publisher of Small Business Trends, that's smallbiztrendscom online. Wildly successful, award-winning hub of more than 2 million entrepreneurs and influencers and experts, over 20,000 pages of content. It's been around for a long time. Anita is based in Naples, Florida, with a team that operates virtually from around the US. She's been running that business since 2003. She's the co-author of Visual Marketing, 99 Proven Ways for Small Businesses to Market with Images and Design. And it shows you how to use visual marketing to grow and launch your business if you're interested in that. She calls herself a recovering lawyer or a former corporate lawyer who's recovered. And she loves being an entrepreneur and working with other entrepreneurs. Welcome, Anita.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Great to have you on the show. So let's start a little bit with you and your entrepreneurial journey. You've had an entrepreneurial journey of building really like a media empire kind of small biz trends. Tell us about your personal journey. I know you call yourself an accidental publisher. What does that mean?
So it means that I never intended to get into the publishing industry or publishing business online, but I had left the corporate world. I was helping some friends do business plans and so on. These are entrepreneurial friends. I was doing some consulting work for them. One day I decided, well, okay, I'm really a consultant for them, so I ought to put up a website and start a newsletter. So I was looking for a way to publish articles for a newsletter, so advice articles and so on. Now remember, this is 2003. So the state of email marketing and publishing newsletters and so on, it was really in its infancy back then. So here I was using Dreamweaver and I was setting up HTML pages and trying to put articles on here, and it was taking me forever. And a friend said, hey, have you heard of blogs? Now again, this is 2003, right? And I said, yeah, well, I heard of them. He said, you really should try it. It's the answer to your problem. And so I went over to blogger.com, which at the time, blogger.com was like the state of the art, right? And, WordPress was just barely getting started or may not even have gotten started at that point. Anyway, bottom line is I found blogs. I realized that I could just hit the publish button and an article would be online. I didn't have to mess with setting it up. And I thought, oh, this is like the answer to everything. Fast forward a few months, and what I came to find out was that many more people were reading the content online. They'd found it through search engines versus those who were subscribed to the newsletter, which was the original purpose. So from there, I decided, okay, well, maybe there's something to this. And that's how I got into the publishing business.
Great. Well, you've been doing this longer than most, couple of decades now, covering small business. What's changed over those 2 decades from a small business standpoint in terms of how to run and grow your business? And what have you learned? What would you say some of the big learnings are over the period of time you've been doing this?
Well, in some ways, things have not changed. I think the essential challenges that small businesses have of getting customers and getting paid and getting good people and basically just operating the business, a lot of those challenges are still there. And they're the basic challenges that are always going to be there, right? But I think what has really changed is the whole marketing landscape has just totally changed. I mean, it's just incredible how much it has changed. The web has just opened up things so much, and it's really put small businesses on an even footing, let's say, with larger counterparts, right? But at the same time, in order to take advantage of that, I think small business people are challenged to learn more. You have to become better at using technology. Okay. You don't have to build the technology, but you have to know how to pick the tools and pick the right tool and learn it and get your team to use it, all those things. So, that's a big change.
So I wanted to ask you about that a little bit more regarding the technology. I mentioned to you our company Thryv, 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 makes a CRM for small businesses that allows small businesses to have a customer database and then communicate with their customers through their software, email, text, invoices, payments, so they can really manage their business in one place. You mentioned marketing tools. In general, if you were talking to a small business person, what would you be saying to them about the technology they need? Maybe not specific brands, but what's the technology they need to run their business that they should be thinking about?
Well, they need some way of managing the whole, let's say, the email process. Okay. Not the email communications that you use to, just run the back office of your business, but how you reach out to customers. Because customers today, we're reaching out to them through email. That's a huge channel for them. And, people expect to be able to connect via email. So you really have to understand that. Also, because you have these customers now that you're reaching virtually, you have a lot more data about how to reach them. You've got an email address. You might have some information of what they want to receive communications about. Maybe they've told you they only want certain types of communications. So now you have to manage all of that, and you've got to keep that sorted out. And really, you can't do this manually. I mean, you could do it if you had a list of 25 customers, maybe, right? But as anything else grows, you need automation, you need the power of software to manage all this for you. Otherwise, you're just going to get buried under the weight of all that administrative work, right?
You're a virtual business, as you were telling me. You have employees all over the place, and your readers are all over the place, and you don't see them. You don't have a storefront. How long have you been a virtual business, and what tips do you have personally from your own experience running a virtual business?
So this, interestingly enough, October this month is our 18th anniversary in business virtually, right? So I never imagined that starting this business from my home office would turn into what it has today, but it has. But it requires adjustment. I mean, it's when you don't have people in front of you, your whole management style has to change, because first of all, you're not managing people's hours or the time that they're at work or whatever. You don't have the ability to just jump in and give little bits of instruction and information. So you have to get better at managing output and results. You've got to have some data. You've got to have some information about what they're doing. You need a central collaboration platform. And you mentioned something really important a moment ago, and that is the cloud. You need to be connected with the cloud. A lot of small businesses start with they run their businesses out of their inboxes, their email boxes. And then what happens is everybody has all their documents and all their information buried in email on their computers, right? Nobody else can see that information in the company. And you can't get any data collated from it because you'd have to hunt through your email and you have to open up individual emails and pull out information, right? I mean, you can do some basic searching, but it's not like searching the actual data. So you really need stuff in databases, and it's got to be in the cloud so that everybody can connect in, because just as we've seen with this whole COVID situation, thrust upon small businesses, suddenly here they are. They're becoming virtual businesses. And the ones who were already in the cloud, they were miles ahead of everyone else because they could continue to do some kind of operations because they had all the information in the cloud. People could see it and they could continue to invoice clients. They could, get information that they needed for customer service or whatever it was. But if you were doing everything on premises and, you didn't have that cloud capability, you had to scramble. I mean, suddenly you had to change everything. So, that's so important. I can't emphasize that enough. And if you're still doing anything on premises or individually by people, get it in the cloud, get it into shared software applications, get your data into actual databases where you can actually sort it and find out what the data is, because all that data there and you can't see it, it's useless.
I wanted to mention or talk a little bit more about your business and specifically smallbiztrends.com, your site. As you said, you've been around for a really long time, 20,000 pages of content. I mean, it's a tremendous resource for small businesses that have questions or wondering about almost any topic. I noticed it's divided up into sort of all the key areas an entrepreneur needs to handle, marketing, management, finance, technology, and also things like e-commerce and what you call resources, which everything from, I think, humor to motivational quotes. How do you decide what belongs on your site and what small businesses are interested in?
So we're using data. I mean, we're constantly gathering data, evaluating it, and then making adjustments and changes. Now, that didn't happen overnight. First you have to collect the data. So you have to start getting some data and you have to start getting some kind of reports out of it. So I can't emphasize that enough. Get reports out of your data. And if you're not doing that today, I mean, most really good software will give you the ability to do some kind of reports. They usually have certain, I would say, quote unquote, canned reports that you can do. And you can set it up usually so that it will actually spit out the reports on a regular schedule. So that's really, really important to do. And then look at that data. So, it's no good having the data. Nobody looks at it. And we found this was actually a hard part. You actually had to take those reports and make a conscious effort to look at them and then try to understand what they were telling you and then make changes based on what you got out of that. If you can set up some kind of a dashboard, some kind of an electronic dashboard for your company where you have all the reports sort of residing there, that is ideal. I'm a big, big believer in that, because then you don't have to hunt around for the reports either. You just go to this one place, you find all the information. Really gives you the ability, especially as the owner or a higher level manager, to really manage certain things. You start managing not so much what people are doing day to day, but you start managing, like, what's the data telling me? Is it telling me that we're doing better in this area or we're doing worse in it? And then that tells you what changes you need to make. So you get to be a smarter manager, I would say, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. Well, in just 1 minute, we're going to come back after a quick break. And I want to ask you a little bit about the corporate world and people who are thinking about leaving the corporate world to sort of start their own business.
Looking for that next spark of inspiration to take your business to the next level? Thryv, the leading software for small business, presents Connect 21. The year's leading small business conference for entrepreneurs like yourself will feature some of today's most successful business leaders, industry pioneers, and software experts. Hear from a lineup of inspirational speakers including Ramon Ray, founder of SmartHustle.com and author of 4 books, including Celebrity CEO, and Jonathan Morris, Texas-based entrepreneur and host of the newest show from Magnolia Network, Self-Employed. You'll have the opportunity to participate in educational breakout sessions with small business experts and leading executives from Merrill Lynch, AudioEye, and others. So grab a cup of coffee and join us for this virtual interactive event on November 10th and 11th. This is the small business conference you won't want to miss. Register now at www.thryv.com/connect. That's THRYV.com/connect. Come to connect, leave inspired.
If you're a startup or early stage small business and you need funding, go to thryvfoundation.org and click on the Apply Now button. Thryv, that's THRYV, Thryv, is the small business software platform that helps you run your business better. Thryv is making a limited number of grants to deserving small businesses to help them get started or get going and emerge more successful. So if you think you deserve a Thryv small business grant, go to thryvfoundation.org and click on Apply Now. Quantities are limited, so apply now. So we're back with Anita Campbell, and I wanted to ask you first, you, as we said at the beginning of the show, left the law early in your career to become an entrepreneur and run Small Biz Trends. Any regrets?
Oh, no. Actually, the legal background's been great. It really helps inform decisions of what you do. I mean, there's a certain discipline to, legal thinking that I think is really very valuable applied to the business world. I would say if you are thinking of leaving the corporate world, it's been said before, but people tend to gloss over this, and I can't emphasize it enough. You are doing everything, and at first you are it probably. Most people can't really afford a big team at first, so it's really going to be you, maybe a little bit of help here and there. So you really are going to have to roll up your sleeves. I mean, there's no kind of, sitting back and looking for someone else to do things. Let me give you an example. Sending out a press release. So let's say you want to send out a press release about something in your business, right? Get a little publicity. Everybody wants to do that, right? Well, in the corporate world, you had a communications department, and you would call the communications department, and they would have all kinds of resources, and they had established processes, and they would handle everything for you. In a small business, I mean, you got to go online, you've got to find like a press release format or something, and you got to sit there and actually write it, and you have to figure out who you're going to send it to, and yada, 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 right? So that's just one of many, many examples. And, you really have to get comfortable doing that. But there's a lot of value to it. And let me say why. There's a lot of value to doing all of these things, because then you really understand them inside and out. And as you hire people, you're going to be even better informed about hiring them. But, I think it's actually very rewarding. When you learn the business like that, you spot lots of opportunities. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of challenge if you look at it that way.
It's not all roses, right? There's a lot of work to do. And I think if you read some of the great books that have been written about running a small business, the trick of it is to get out of the minutia where you're just in the business doing all of the tasks, and find a way to sort of get above that, so you're really working on the business and running the business, and not letting the business run you. And that comes with things like building repeatable processes and getting technology to do some of those mundane tasks for you, right?
So here's where really good software can help you do that. For example, if you get a really good software platform, or cloud platform, let's say, a lot of times these software programs actually inform you about things you should do. They're actually very instructive. And so if you create your process to follow along with the software is prompting you to do, or how it's set up, it's actually a lot easier to do that than to try to do everything on your own and then say later on, oh, well, I'll go out and I'll find some software to help me. Just get started right from the beginning with something that trains you and directs you, and your team too.
I was wondering what your thinking is about more like vocational training. It used to be a big thing, I think, in this country, people getting sort of vocational training to learn a trade. And I still think that there's a lot of room for that. I mean, many kids come out of college with $200,000 of debt. You could do 2 years of vocational, come out with no debt, and get a job that probably pays you, $75,000, $80,000, $90,000, depending on what field you're in, right?
Absolutely. No, I'm totally with you on that, because, I think that, having those basic skills is just crucial. And, you're better knowing how to lead once you have been a good follower. If you know how to, to do things and actually get things done, and take instruction on things, then you're in a much better position later on to do your own thing because you know what it's like.
So we're just about out of time, but I was curious to ask you, as I have other guests, I mean, you're a busy person, you run this business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a writer, editor. Do you have any free time in your life to have fun? And if so, what do you do for fun?
Okay, well, I love to ride my bicycle. So, so I just ride it around the neighborhood. And that was one of the reasons that, I wanted to move to Florida, is because, in Ohio, you really only had about 5 months of the year. So that it was really comfortable to ride a bike outside. I mean, you could ride it more than that, but it's more comfortable down here to ride year round. And so that's what I like to do. That's probably my biggest thing there. And I just love to read. I love the internet. I just love to check things out, see what's going on. I mean, it opens up a window to the world, and that's terrific.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Anita, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And this is Anita Campbell from Smallbiztrends.com. That's smallbiztrends.com. Great to have you on the show.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, Gordon, it's been terrific, and you're a terrific host. So
thank you so much. Yeah. And for those of our listeners out there, if you enjoyed this podcast, please tell a friend or colleague to subscribe, and please leave us a 5-star review. We would really appreciate it. And until next time, make it a great week.